the Bellular video will convince you 100%. I don't need much convincing. I haven't even seen the video yet, and I already agree with him. No flying is sick. Like, I think we might start seeing this shift, man. This like shift towards like antiquity, so to speak, right? Like we have this, like we need more and more and more, faster, faster, faster. But at a certain point, I think players are gonna be like, wait a minute, what if we actually go the other way? I don't know. I'm sure that's probably what this video is about. It's kind of like ultra hardcore. It's kind of like hardcore, ultra hardcore. No flying. It's like, wait a minute, what if we slow things down on purpose to smell those darn flowers? Oh wow, these smell pretty darn good, you know? Midnight players are quitting flying. It's just like a little like movement of like retail players being like, wait a minute, it's much better to level slow and kind of chill and check out the beauty of the zones and smell those darn flowers, or like what's going on? The first thing is the ground mount revolution, the first chapter. I honestly think flying has no place in an MMO. Like when I play classic WoW, I'm like, yes. And even going to TBC, as good as TBC is, I'm like, this would be better without flying. Like if you have an X and Y axis, great. Once you add in the Z, you see how many times less people. Any mathematicians in the chat? Once you add a Z axis, how many less people do you see? It's gotta be a factor of like thousands, right? Because there's like a million different coordinates you can now go into. It's like infinite almost. Not quite, but anyway. What makes an MMO good is the feeling of running into other players and interacting with other players, grouping with them, stuff like that. Once you add flying, you just kind of lose that to a very large degree. So yeah, like I don't need much convincing. Like in my perfect classic plus, for example, there is no flying. Anyway, let's see what Bellular has to say.
I thought I escaped the discourse of 2014, but it turns out I haven't. Here's the story. WoW has had some beautiful expansion zones, but I think Midnight is a step above. The art and the music are genuinely some of the best the game has ever had.
I agree,
and the game shows you immediately. After the intro, Blizzard drop you at the Sunwell and have you fly down to Silvermoon. You zoom past this gorgeous statue, and the city immediately wows you. But not everyone has had that experience. Some people have actually had a much, much better experience, and that has led to somewhat of a movement emerge within the WoW community.
Are these black bars part of the like, is that on my end or Bellular's end? Why is there black bars? Are you guys seeing these black bars? I think that's just Bellular's end. I don't know if I can YouTube. How do I get rid of that? This? No. Aspect ratio? Lagging? It's the AI? What? It's like cut off at the bottom. What the heck? Come on, YouTube. At the top center, there's an X. That's like full screen mode, I think. Theater mode?
Community. Basically, the tide's turning a little bit. Some players are taking their enjoyment into their own hands, and for once I don't mean that they're going off and RPing. And it even includes Dakor, one of the guys on our team. And what all these people are doing is they're reliving the old glory days and truly enjoying the world that Blizzard have built. And to do that, they're limiting themselves. They're choosing not to fly. They're exploring all of Midnight on ground mounts. They're choosing the same limitations that many people love classic WoW for. And after hearing about it, and after watching some of what they've seen, I actually think they're kind of right to play this way. Obviously, it takes longer to level this way, and there's a lot of things to do in the preseason, but still, it works shockingly well.
So I have two things to say here. One, Blizzard tried this a few expansions ago. I can't quite remember exactly when, but there was a couple of expansions where the new expansion came out and you didn't have flying unlocked. Blizzard forced you on the ground to experience the game slower until you unlocked, was it like pre-Dragonflight? Yeah, like pre-Dragonflight. Warlords of Draenor, definitely. Anyway, Blizzard forced you on the ground to experience the new expansion on the ground first. You could look around and see everything, smell the flowers, check it out, and then later unlock flying to, you know, kind of quickly do stuff, right? People hated it. People hated it. The forums were on fire. Like, I don't want to wait this long for flying, blah, blah, blah. So they got rid of it. And like modern expansions after, I guess, Dragonflight or something, you just got it right away. So I find it funny now, a couple years later, we're talking about let's stop flying and go slower. Once again, before we started this video, we were talking about like, is there a shift happening? A shift back to antiquity, a shift away from this like, go, 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 go. Are we getting too much shoved in our faces? I was gonna say throats, but faces, to where it's like, let's just chill out for a second and like, just look at the beauty of the game and go a little slower. And I think that's why Classic has done so well. So I wonder if we're kind of starting to see that shift now, whereas 5 years ago, people weren't for it. I don't know. Or maybe this is just like a micro community doing this because it's fun, kind of like ultra hardcore or something. I don't know.
Do people actually like it? Well, the short answer is yes. This was originally punishment for Flame, but he ended up having what looks to us like a bit of an existential crisis over how much he enjoyed it. Taliesin said it's improved his enjoyment by 1,000%. Eric from our social media team highly recommends it. We're seeing it everywhere. You could say that the propaganda is extremely strong. But it's not just creators. Every post has had at least a handful of people saying they're doing it the same way and actually loving it. And while some of the WoW community are over there leveling 25 of the same class, yes, that's actually happened. Here's the evidence. Up to max level for the Race to World First. Other people are taking their time, and
bro, could you imagine being in Race to World First in a few weeks and doing 25 of every class? Bro, that is brutal. Also, completely off topic. Whoever's UI this is kind of cool. They have like the chat box here and then like the micro buttons vertically up against the chat box on the left. I've never seen that. That actually is kind of like, doesn't that look kind of nice? Looks kind of nice. Whoever Decor is, I don't know. Is that Bellular? Looks good.
Thoroughly.
I'm stealing that?
Launch.
Yeah, it's kind of smart,
I think Mr. GM maybe put this the strongest of all. He had such an eye-opening experience that he said he would not be against locking players out of flying. And if you've been where I've been, say that.
Blizzard's already done this, and people were so mad. But once again, maybe the people have changed now, but Blizzard already tried this, and people raged.
The trenches of 2014
We've come full circle,
and the Warlords of Draenor flying discourse, you might be thinking, oh my god, it's happening again, everything's in cycles. And yeah, it is.
Yeah, true.
We have flying today because many of us fought for flying. It caused serious tension for years, and the history is that TBC added flying and it designed endgame subzones around flying. Then Wrath of the Lich King let us fly before max level so that we could soar around the crazy mountains of the Storm Peaks. This was a bit of a hybrid model, but then it kind of changed because from Mists through to Shadowlands, we had 5 expansions in a row of being fully grounded at launch. And this hit a fever pitch with Warlords of Draenor, where instead of unlocking flying at max level, they locked it behind the insanely grindy, at the time, Pathfinder achievement. And they only did that 10 months after release. It took a while. People were not happy about being grounded for so long. Now, in fairness, the world was walkable, but after we'd seen it, we kinda just wanted the convenience. And we got it, but we had to wait agonizing lengths of time. So, the community fought and fought and fought until eventually we got what they asked for. Blizzard swung completely in the other direction with Dragonflight, and they swung so hard it ended up being one of the biggest selling points of that expansion. So naturally, they built a massive vertical Dragon Isles around it. It's almost impossible to play the Dragonflight expansion without your flying mount.
True.
I mean, the only land bridge to Valdrakken is literally broken. You have to fly. So these areas were designed for flying.
I mean, that's a really good point he brings up. And like even in TBC, there's dungeons in Netherstorm, like VI dungeons, that you can't get to without flying. So it's kind of like it's in the building phase. Like, are we going to build an expansion for flying? Are we going to build an expansion that you can check out on foot? Right? You do that first. Once again, like for Classic Plus or something, like my ideal game, like everything's pretty much on foot. It's great. You run into way more people, but I don't know if you can really go back, you know?
And since then,
really,
we've all been flying. But now, a few years later, it's the 3rd expansion of Day 1 flying. And it seems some are getting tired of it, and rather fast. Getting tired of zooming from quest to quest before you're actually able to take it all in. People want to take their time, see the sights, and truly appreciate the world. And if World of Warcraft is about its world, well, that certainly does make sense. You could almost say this is the WoW equivalent of putting your phone in your bag instead of your pocket. And if you look past the gameplay and the talking head dialogue, the immersive classic experience you wanted may actually still exist. So, here's what it looks like. While most of us flew into Silvermoon, zooming past that statue straight to the next quest, some saw something different. Those who stayed in the ground saw this. A group of elves held back by guards.
Yeah.
Later, they got to see Windrunner Spire slowly creep up from behind the hill until it dominated their view. The trees on either side frame it. The lighting, the music both transition at the perfect time. And everything about the area sells that. On the way up to the spire, you encounter this painter. He's painting the memories of ghosts, and what he has to say hammers home the tone of this region. Flying around Zulaman, you see the quest zone and the towers just fine, but you miss all the connecting tissue. You miss how this place is actually connected. How a troll...
I think he's explaining why a lot of classic players like classic. There's a lot of downtime that allows you to take it all in, so everything feels like a connected world, and not that you're just ping-ponging all over the place. Like, if we brought that more into retail, I would be happy. A lot of classic players would be happy, but I think a lot of retail players that only play retail would be very upset about this. Personally, I wouldn't mind, like, for next expansion, if it was kind of like that Wrath model, where we didn't actually say we level from 90 to 100 or whatever for what's it even called? The Last Titan. If you unlock flying at like 98, but the leveling then was quicker because more of the time was spent traveling, right? So like right now, leveling took, I don't know, 12 hours, but that was from ping-ponging from quest to quest like crazy. So you'd actually increase the experience per quest, but you'd have to like walk between them and kind of take it all in. I wouldn't mind that, but I think a lot of people that are like retail, like I just want to hit max and go, would be pretty upset, you know?
Would walk from one settlement to another. The whole zone is actually built full of rickety wooden bridges and uncertain pathing. You can't see the roads in the map until you've explored. So instead of flying in a straight line, you stop, you check signs for direct.
Sorry to pause the video again, but it kind of breeds an issue, right? If you have no flying until max, do you build the zones for flying or do you build the zones for walking? Because if you build the zones for walking, they're less impressive when flying oftentimes because you can't do like the crazy verticality stuff. And if you build the zones for flying, well, like, you know, it's like if you kind of go in the middle somewhere, I guess that kind of works. If you build them for both, I guess it kind of works. I wonder if in Midnight it's kind of built for both in a way. I'm trying to think of like places that would be impossible to get to on foot, you know? You can do both. You have to add more flight paths. Oh, that's fair enough, Miller Time. I forgot about flight paths in retail. It's been a long time since I took a flight path on retail. It's been a really long time, actually. Just fly anywhere.
To towns and villages. If you fall off one of those bridges, you'll have to find your way back up, just like in Stranglethorn Vale back in the day. Though with fewer rogues waiting at the bottom to cheap shot you. Then there's Harrendar. If you're in the sky, Harrendar is just another zone. It's pretty, but just another zone. On the ground, it becomes so much more. It's extremely vertical with winding paths and deep valleys. And then there's the Rift of Eln. It's a proper rift, with only one perilous path down, which makes it feel disconnected and eerie. On foot, the geography reinforces the story. Even though on a flying mount, you can still tell the den is a uterus. You're being real subtle there, Blizzard. But the real point is that doing that from the ground is different experience.
Okay.
Dakor on our team realized that on the ground, he had to learn the zone to get around the place. And by flying, you miss NPC interactions. You miss sights that Blizzard's artists have carefully planned for you.
One of the things that I appreciate about being on the ground on a new expansion is the danger too. Obviously you take the world in more and you're seeing things more, but the danger, like, oh crap, there's a bunch of like elite mobs here I have to go around, or this is just a highly dense area, like I have to fight my way through or something, or I could try to run through, but if I get dazed and dismounted then maybe I die. But with flying, you just kind of skip all the dangerous parts and you just get to where you need to go. That danger is kind of cool, right? Like think about like in TBC, like going around a certain area because there's just so many mobs, right?
You miss getting a feel for the zone. You end up rushing through it very quickly in a way that actually skips most of the hard work, or much of the hard work, that the Warcraft team has made. You can even argue that zooming around on a flying mount means you get less value out of your purchase. And perhaps if you're wondering why some zones and stories just don't hit as good as they used to back in the day, well, when you go around...
You could argue a lot of things give you less value out of your purchase, like buying gold, like buying boosts, like buying gold and then buying character progression. I mean, there's a lot of things technically that would give you less value, like for sure.
In the zone, you drink in the ambience and you navigate it in a way that means you actually have to learn it. Well, you spend time with all of your senses and a lot of different skills within that zone. And maybe that means that whenever things happen with characters, you're just more primed to enjoy the story. Blizzard, basically, are making an awful lot of game that most of us are just missing.
True, yeah.
None of this is an accident. Blizzard's artists still use the old playbook. They still rely on the classic wisdom within game development of how to make gorgeous vistas and tie a zone together. Windrunner Spire's transition is clearly planned, but I want to take another example from Zul'Aman, because much later, the final quest in Zul'Aman has you talk to Zul'Jan on a broken bridge. If you fly straight over to that bridge from the town, you land like this. Boom, there you go, talk to him. But on foot, this is what happens instead.
Oh.
You get time to notice that he is staring at a giant island.
Oh, okay, no, I thought there was gonna be like an animation we missed or something, like when you walk up. Because I think there are some quests where if you walk up, you actually see a little bit more of what happens versus if you fly in. Or some quests are kind of bugged, where if you fly in, they don't even work. You have to like back out and then back in for them to like proc or whatever.
And is called a Tal Utek. It's almost certainly a patch zone that is full of dark Amani history. The Loa Altar Keeper calls it, quote, lands we no longer step foot upon. That's some extreme foreshadowing for Zul'Jan's future. And it's easily missed if you fly there and zoom out. A way to think about this, rooted in other media, could almost be to talk about cinematography. If your camera is zooming around all over the place, it's very quick and very efficient, showing you all the things you need to see. It may end up feeling a bit artless than maybe, where a camera is more locked down, more moody, more purposeful, more intentional. I'm not saying this is a one-to-one example, but I do think the point applies. And if you notice, say, those things with Zul'Jan, then your long flight path back to Silvermoon will let all of that sink in. How is Zul'Jan really feeling? Is he going to respect his sister after her journey, or will it bruise his ego and drive...
Okay, so let's get philosophical here for a second. I actually had a moment in college where I was thinking about this exact thing in real life. And it was the idea that we need downtime as humans to let things sink in. And when I realized it for the first time is when I got a car. So before I had a car, I didn't have a car, and I walked everywhere, or I rode my bike. And when I walked everywhere, it was like 20 or 30 minutes to get to my class, and then like 20 minutes to get to the next one, because it was like a pretty large campus if you're walking from like bottom to top or whatever. And I would just often walk and think. And I didn't think about that this was valuable time. I just thought, oh, I didn't think anything of it. But when it was gone, and when that valuable time of walking and thinking was away, like taken away, and I just drove and I got there in 2 minutes or 1 minute or whatever, I realized something was missing. And it took me like many months to figure it out. I was like, what is going on? And then I was like, oh, I'm not giving myself a chance to just like stop and think. And I realized this later as an adult too, from working from home. And some of you guys from working from home might find some value in this. If you work from home, what do you not have? You don't have a commute. If you don't have a commute and you just start work, insta off work, kids, family, whatever, what do you not have? Downtime. So by supplementing your life with downtime, aka a daily walk, and Europeans are much better at this because your cities are structured in a way, or more of your cities are structured in a way where you actually walk to places and you have that 20 minutes of downtime, which allows you to think and take a deep breath or whatever. Us Americans, not quite as good at it, because our cities are set up like a lot more horizontal, like kind of need a car for a lot. It depends on what city you live in, not in like a college town. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. The point is, having this downtime to sit and think is so healthy on the darn brain. Holy crap, what a game changer it is to add in a daily walk. And that's the same thing Bellular's talking about in game. How healthy it is when you play a game to have a lot of stuff happen and then take a flight path where you have to like sit there and think for a few minutes versus instantly ping to the next quest and then it just, you stop thinking about it. Anyway, that's a little philosophical. It's kind of like branching into real life a little bit, but I really think those like, so in my life, I add in a daily walk, right? And it's like, holy crap, it's a game changer, right? If you already have a daily walk in your routine or a longer commute where you can kind of just space out and think, cool. Like you probably don't even realize how important it is. But if you don't, you might not realize it's missing. So try it out. And in game, Bellular's talking about the flight paths actually having some inherent value. So anyway, back to the video.
Him to something desperate. And actually, that's something else. Flight paths. They're positioned perfectly to give you stunning aerial views of the world that you miss if you stay grounded. You'll even miss them if you're flying, but are just dashing from waypoint to waypoint as the crow flies. And that raises a point. Blizzard don't need flight paths anymore, because we can fly. But they still make flight paths. It's even in the smaller details. In Eversong, you can fly up to the floating parts of Fairbreeze Village, but you never have to. Everywhere has these translocation orbs that teleport you. Over in Harrendar, there are always ground paths out of zones. Maybe it's just good world building, or maybe Midnight, at one point, didn't let you fly. Who knows? But either way, Midnight is richly crafted. It is full of detail that's extremely easy to miss. Everything points to Blizzard still making a world, then, that supports players running around and drinking it in. It's just up to you if you want to do that. So, what should Blizzard do? Nothing. I don't think they should do much. This isn't like Hardcore. Hardcore was a popular add-on that Blizzard made into a real game mode on top of their existing game. Now, I've seen a bit of talk about a restriction, basically no flying during the campaign, or maybe no flying until you hit max level. But I don't think that's a great idea. That's because player choice is here. It's working. And the point of this video is not to convince you or tell you you have to do it or that Blizzard should change anything. It's to make you aware of it so that you can make your choice. I think that's probably the right way to go. I think Blizzard just needs to make sure that they build zones the way they are right now, because the zones allow people to choose. If you want to level fast, you can. If you want to drink it in, you can. And this experiment proves that the classic style slow and steady game exists. You just have to choose to play it.
The thing is, it's like so hard to play suboptimally, right? As gamers in 2026. Like, you can do it. We did ultra hardcore, which is just a self-imposed game mode. We did hardcore before hardcore. We did, I mean, you can do something like this where you don't fly. It's just so hard as a gamer to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna level slower. I'm gonna level 100 times slower, because instead of flying instantly to the location, I'm gonna slowly walk there, right? The game wants to push you to endgame. Well, it's just like, if there's an effective way to do something or a more effective way to do something, people are gonna find it out. In fact, people have already said 12-hour leveling is too slow, and people are like doing boosts. Where are they doing boosts, guys? Is it delves or is it dungeons? I've seen some boosting going on where people level like really fast, where you don't do any of the quests. You just like spam kill the same mob, and is it the Grudge Pit? Is it delves? Yeah, the ring quest, something. I was watching some videos on this. Yeah, shroom farms is what I saw. Anyway, my point is, gamers are gonna game the system if you can, right? So like, does it fall on Blizzard to give us that experience, or does it fall on us to hinder ourselves? I mean, you could say like in real life, like I just said, the example is to put in a daily walk, even if it's to nowhere. It sounds a little weird, but it still is really helpful. So I guess I kind of agree with Bellular here. Yo, Phoenix, thanks for the 5 gifted, man.
Honestly, I might do it on an alt myself. Watching other people do it, they're just playing a much more immersive version of WoW. They're clearly getting more out of every quest. And with this expansion having so many side quests that are so good, maybe this is a way to enjoy WoW almost as if leveling didn't exist. Because of course, all the stuff will scale, and even if you hit max level, all those side quests will be filling up your renowns, which still is progress that's good for your character. So maybe put the flying mount down and join the future of a well-paced, immersive WoW. Or don't. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't have to be an argument. But before you embark in that, check out this video next. It's just a bunch of tips, tricks, and bits of knowledge that all of our team just kind of thought, really wish we knew that whenever we started leveling up properly. So,
all right, yo, solid video, man. I find it really funny as someone who like mainly plays classic, because it's like this huge like breakthrough of like, wow. And like I think a lot of us like more like classic first gamers are like, yeah, exactly. Yup. You know? Yeah. Duh. Yeah. It's definitely really fun to play that way. You gotta get lay of the land a little bit, you know? I liked the video anyway. I think it was great. And I agree with this take. Like, I think in retail, if you just instantly force all players to go slow, like that wouldn't be received very well either. I missed this one though, so thank you for pointing it out.